Hi, all. Good morning. So, our today's guest has been supporting institutional retirement planning in new markets. He has also expanded the Bay Area Baystreet's product offerings by creating a comprehensive financial planning strategy geared towards individual families and clients. Let's welcome Ekenna on 10 Minutes of Hiding Wisdom. Hi, Ekenna. How are you doing today?
No, wow. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to tell about my journey and discuss further.
Of course, and we'd love to hear more. So, Ekenna, where are you currently working and how's your life been so far?
Yeah, so currently I'm at Baystreet Capital Holdings. We're a minority owned registered investment advisor based in the Bay Area. I've been here actually just about 1 year. Prior to this, I spent about 6 years in the broker dealer space, starting at Charles Schwab and then going to TD Ameritrade and finally landing at Baystreet Capital.
Oh wow. So as in like what did you always know that you wanted to do something in planning and like dealing and everything, or was it just something that you've gained an interest or in over time?
Yeah, great question. I mean, for me, quite frankly, planning and kind of the whole financial situation wasn't something that was talked about in the household actually at all. I went to college really looking for an opportunity to, make something out of myself, and I realized pretty quickly that finance and finance type degrees could lead to a lucrative lifestyle. And so I went with finance and economics. I actually thought I would be more so on Wall Street, almost as an IB person or a investment banker. But it turns out I ended up finding a really cool niche in the discount broker space where I was able to really kind of, get some of that first action of career. And then from there, I really started to come and love the financial planning aspect of things.
Okay, well, so as in like would you consider yourself someone creative? Because I think planning and especially everything involves this component of visualization, creativity, and just thinking out of the box. Do you think you have those traits?
Yeah, definitely. I think that when you look at it, obviously there's general rules for financial planning, but what we'll notice very often is that everyone's situation is different, and not two clients are the same. And so I say all that to say that yeah, sometimes you'll come with a unique situation that you're really start having to think, okay, what's the best strategy with all the different types of accounts and different types of investment options out there, trying to really piece that together. Sometimes you do have to think outside of the box for some of the complex situations.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And I think it's very important to take a very customer centric approach because no customer that you deal with is similar to the one that you dealt with previously. And I think that's what makes a business unique because the more individualized approach that you take towards a customer, the more you can deal with them better at the end of the day.
Exactly, exactly.
So, as in like curious to, curious to maybe hear about as in like how your company is doing, especially because of the pandemic and everything. Were there setbacks? How have things been generally for your company?
Yeah, and it's interesting. We've actually grown quite a bit during the pandemic. I mean, yes, a lot has negatively happened in our country because of it. But one of the positive things in trying to find the silver lining here is Bay Street's really been able to expand our network and be able to connect with people who traditionally would have only been able to meet or only wanted to meet with someone face to face. Now that we're able to essentially meet everyone virtually, I myself now have clients ranging from California to Maryland to Florida, really all across the country. And I think a large part of that is people essentially said, hey, I want quality financial planning. The location, although important, now not a determining factor if they'll work with someone or not.
Okay, well, so isn't like you have people all over the world now, and how is that like working with such a diverse team in different parts of the world? Do you think working with a remote team is like much more productive, or in your opinion, like how is it for you?
Yeah, I think I would find myself to be more productive more days than not. I mean, historically, I was commuting to the office my whole career. I've always had a job where I go into the office. I'm wearing a suit. I think that now, essentially, you're cutting out some of that commuting time, and you're able to really focus on, all right, what's going to grow my business today. I think one of the things that's a little difficult working remote is before when you're out the office, essentially you're out the office unless someone calls your personal line. Now, quite frankly, you leave the office and you're just still in your apartment in a different room. And so if something were to come up, where before you would say, "Oh, I have to deal with this tomorrow," I find myself working later into the night very often.
So it's definitely more productivity, but then again, as in like the line between work and personal life is very thin because people can't help but actually work because everything's accessible to them at their home. So I can definitely see how it's like both sides of the coin at the end of the day.
Yeah. And I mean, once again, I think overall, it's led to being able to work longer and more strategically. But yeah, very often, if a client reaches out at 6 or before, I kind of have the canned response of, "Oh, hey, I would have to look at this when I get back in the office." Now I'll just say, "Oh, let me go grab my laptop." And so, I mean, I think overall the clients benefit from it, and we're benefiting from it from being able to be more helpful and hands on.
But then again, you have to think of it as an like, I think there's a lot of ownership that comes from you and employees in your company because then again, you guys must really believe in the company, which is why you work hard and push yourselves to actually work with clients. Because if you didn't really believe in the company's vision or the mission itself, you wouldn't be bothered because you'd be like, okay, I'll just work on it tomorrow and everything. So it's definitely hats off to you guys for actually pursuing and working hard during a time that's very difficult.
Yeah, no, thank you. And I mean, I think in this industry, a lot of times you'll see people either kind of sink or swim. And yeah, I mean, COVID definitely changed the historic way of doing business, of, kind of wining and dining your clients in a very literal sense. And so being able to now kind of do that via virtual and still see success, I think definitely showed that Bay Street has the chops to be able to compete with anyone, quite frankly.
Of course. I mean, that sounds wonderful. So, as in, like you mentioned, how your team has grown and everything, are you guys hiring for certain roles? What kind of skills are you looking for? So that if someone's interested in everything, they would know how to get their way into Bay Street.
Yeah, I mean, so we're always looking for qualified individuals in a variety of different roles. We're starting to expand our insurance offerings, so we're looking for people to be able to handle that side of things. We're always looking for investment advisors, portfolio analysts. If you have the qualifications, which for us, number one qualification is someone has to be a go-getter, and someone has to be able to work on their own because we're not a company that we're standing over you and saying, "Hey, this is what your day to day looks like." And so, being able to be a self starter, a go getter, and really hold the autonomy to be successful is what we're looking for. And if you have the qualifications, we will look at
Okay, that's like that makes sense because I mean, no one likes to be micromanaged at the end of the day, and with remote environments, especially, I think it's very hard to do that. So I think you definitely need someone who could like get out of bed and be like, okay, this is what I have to do, and this is what I have to report to my boss or my manager at the end of the day. So I can, as in, like, if someone like that does reach out to me at the end of the day, I will definitely forward them to you. Ekenna, thank you so much for sharing that. If there's anything else that you'd like to give advice to for job seekers, please feel free to mention.
Yeah, I think my number one advice, and just looking at my own personal story when I first started to apply, it took a little while for me to land a job that would allow me to have a lifestyle. It felt like the jobs that wanted me wouldn't pay enough for the area, and then the jobs I wanted either didn't want me or wouldn't pay. And so all I'll say is just keep going. Sometimes it can feel a little discouraging if you don't get the first option, but it's a real big universe in terms of finance companies and financial careers. And so just keep trying, and you'll get something eventually.
Okay, well, we're going to end this show with a very positive note by you. So thank you so much for sharing that. Ekana, it was a pleasure having you and learning so much about you and your journey. Thank you
Yeah,
so
thank you
much.
so much.